Well, Stephen, you've served our country, and I can't tell you how much it
Mhm.
means to me. Every time I'm in the airport, when I see someone wearing the uniform, I tell them, thank you for not only defending this great country, but little old Ireland. I know about the Marshall Plan. If it hadn't been for the Marshall Plan, there would have been communism in Ireland, all of Western Europe. So it means a lot to me as an immigrant and as
Mhm.
someone who considers myself to be a proud American going through immigration. But tell us a little bit about your military service. What made you decide to serve our country in that way?
Yeah. Yeah. So when my parents came here, we came on a green card. We were what are called permanent residents. And the way that it worked back then was you pay your taxes, you don't get in trouble. You live the life of a good American. And you get put in a waiting line and you wait. At that time, I think it was like 7 years, and you just wait your turn. And at the end of that time, once it's your turn to get called up, then you could apply for, or you'd be called up to swear in. You take a test and you become a United States citizen. So I knew that that was coming, and that literally it was just going to be handed to me because at that time of being under 18, as long as your parents get it, you would automatically get it. Not if you're born here, obviously you would get it, but I knew that myself not being born here, when they got their citizenship, that it was just going to be handed to me. And then when 9/11 happened, I said, I still want to become an American. I'm going to be proud of it, but I don't want it to just be handed to me. I have to do something. So something fired up inside of me, which does with a lot of patriots. And they say, what can I do for this country? What can I do for our freedoms? What can I do for the people who have sacrificed? And so it was a group of a few friends, and we said, well, we're going to join the military. Everyone had their own reasons. Um, but I know I had mine, is that I wanted to gain my citizenship through military service. I had no idea what that meant, how it worked, how long you had to be in. No idea. You also didn't have to join the Marine Corps. I could have, and my Air Force friends would probably get mad at me. I probably could have taken a really easy Air Force job and gotten that. Um, but I played video games, I watched TV, I watched the movies, and I was like, no, I want to do something tough. I want to do something hard. I want to challenge myself, and I didn't know what that meant either. Things are just coming out of my mouth, and so all of us were kind of bouncing around, checking different branches, and each one I went to, and I said, "Hey, who's the toughest?" And everyone would say, "I would go to the Marine Corps." Um, so then I went to the Marine Corps office and say, "Hey, I'd like to join the military," and I'm asking all the branches who's the toughest, and they're all saying to come to the Marine Corps. I don't even know what that means. I just from just being romanticized by the military movies and video games, and they pulled a really easy recruiter sales tactic on me, and they said, well, we don't want you anyway because you wouldn't make it. You wouldn't make it in the Marine Corps, so don't worry about it. You could just go somewhere else. That was a wrap. It got me. Say no more, right? So I ended up joining the Marine Corps as a poolee, because you don't go into boot camp yet. I was there, and then all my friends started to go to different branches, and they said, "Hey, why don't y'all were supposed to join the Marine Corps with me?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, we decided not to, and we're going to do something different." And I was like, "Well, I'm bought in. I've drank the Kool-Aid. It's a wrap. It's over. This is the path that I'm going on." And you get to boot camp, and all boot camps are tough because it takes you away from your comfort zones, and you leave home and all that. But Marine Corps boot camp is just something. It's insane. No matter how many movies you watch, stories you listen to, nothing compares to the real thing, and just being there. And at that time, I said, what did I get myself into? I had to remind myself, I'm doing this because I want my citizenship. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know if I made the right decision. And when you're there, it's too late. It's sorry, it's too late. Um, but I made it every time. And that's what I love about the military, is that every time that you come across a barrier where you tell yourself that you can't, they teach you to keep pushing, keep pushing. You'll be okay. You'll make it through. Teamwork. Um, and that's exactly what I did, and just continue push, training after training. Ended up being stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and my job there was motor transportation with an engineering unit. It was an amazing opportunity, amazing time. And 2005 rolled along. We are in the second year of the war in Iraq, and I was given an option. I just come back from a training mission in Korea. I was given an option. You can either go to um, to Sri Lanka. There was a tsunami that had come through to the Indo-Pacific area. So tsunami came through and just devastated it. And they said you can go down there and do a humanitarian mission because we need Marines down there, or you can go to Iraq for a mission. Okay, well, what's the mission in Iraq? Well, we don't know. Well, who are we going with? We don't know. Um, what? So we're that's it. That's and they're like, you're either going or you're not. They need 30 Marines, and we're only telling a select few people. And you're either going or you're not. And I was like, well, I joined the military to fight, whatever I thought that meant. And I joined to gain my citizenship, even if it meant paying through blood. I didn't know what that meant. I was just something cool that I was telling myself that this is what I want to do. And so I ended up going to Iraq, 2005, and got attached to a military police unit. And our job was convoy security, route clearance, and QRF, or quick reaction force. We were pretty much a police force out in the desert, just keeping the roads safe, keeping troops safe that had come into danger. It was our job to go out there and help them. I was supposed to be there for 7 months. We got there in January, and I got hit the end of March, and this was 2005. Uh, I spent a year and 8 months recovering from my injuries. And I'm an open book, so we only have so much time here. So I welcome if somebody just wants to call and just share this. I'm happy to share it. I'm an open book. There's no wrong questions. But so I spent a year and 8 months recovering from my injuries and got to spend all this time with other service members. And it was such an impactful time in my life. Um, so when I was there recovering, you get a lot of politicians that come to say, "Hey, thank you for your service." Uh, and a lot of them, I just feel like a lot of them are just kind of just paying you lip service. They come in. You could tell the ones who are really engaged and the ones who are just there because it's election season and they need a photo op, and you could tell. And so I had it was a senator, I believe he was from Virginia. I can't remember the name, but he would come in. He was like, "Hey," and they tell you this thing, "Hey, if there's anything we could ever do for you, let my office know." And I was like, "Hey, well, before you leave, there is something you could do for me." And I said, "Sure, what's that?" I said, "I'd like to get my citizenship." And he was just bewildered. Like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, at the time, the process was you had to be in at least 3 years, not get in any trouble, or at least in my case, not get caught. And then you could apply for your citizenship." And I said, "So I definitely hit 3 years. And I wanted to start that application process." And he was just like, "I can't believe that you look the way that you do." I was all bandaged up. You can find pictures online. I was really banged up. And it's like, "I just can't believe that you went through this and you're not a citizen." And I was like, "Well, there's a ton of us." I knew all sorts of people from all different backgrounds, different countries who joined them, and people still do it to this day. And I think it's great. I think public service, um, or going into the military or some type of service to the country should be mandatory. But I know that's a different conversation. I just think it just makes you a better American and a better person. But so he got me in contact with Joe Wilson, and Joe was just amazing for my family. He anytime he was up in DC, he would come in, have pictures. He would hang out with my family, make sure that they had everything that they needed. He got a couple of signed things from President Bush, and so they went and told him, it's like, "Hey, this guy, he's from your district and he needs help." So Joe's like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" I was like, "Well, Joe, I need to get my citizenship." And it wasn't maybe 2 or 3 weeks later that everything was kind of good to go. It got expedited, but I still had to go to Charleston, South Carolina to go get sworn in. And I wasn't at that point, I wasn't able to move around yet. I was still bedridden. But once I was able to get on my feet, my parents drove me down to Charleston, South Carolina, and I was there in a wheelchair, swearing in. I still had to do the exams and the questions. I didn't get away from that. So even if you get injured in combat for your country, you still got to take the test. So don't think that you could just join the military and just get right through. So I still had to do that, and it's one of the proudest moments of my life to know that I got to play out my dream, even though it cost me a lot. But I asked for that. I didn't know what it meant to say I want to serve for my citizenship and I'm willing to sacrifice myself. I didn't know what that meant. Um, I didn't know. But now knowing what that cost was, I'm so proud. And I take a lot of pride in that. And then also knowing when I meet other service members and they're like, "Hey, thank you so much." No, thank you, because you are sacrificing. You have, and family members too, parents and spouses. I tell them, thank you, because you're sacrificing too, and you have no idea when something's going to happen to you. I mean, think about the troops now that are getting attacked in the Middle East. The war is over, right? The war was over. Afghanistan, the war was over. ISIS was destroyed. But we've got troops all over the Middle East that are conducting missions that we probably will never hear about, and that the wars are over, right? And so they think that they're safe, and they should be. Nobody thought that they were going to die in Jordan. And so you got these troops that they died in their sleep. I'm talking about the three most recent army soldiers who died, and um, they had probably had no clue, probably had no idea that they were going to go to the Middle East in a not during an active war, to die in their sleep. And so you never know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what your job is. Um, and it's just amazing that you have men and women who are willing to put on the uniform and sacrifice, sign a dotted line and say, "Hey, send me. I'm going to go out there." And how can you not be proud of that? I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Um, I get a lot of parents who are like, "Hey, will you talk to my son or daughter? They're thinking about joining the military." Sure, I'll talk to them. And I hope that they're joining for the right reasons and they know what they're getting themselves into. But we're at our lowest recruiting ever. We're at our lowest retention ever. And I mean, that's also a whole nother conversation that we could go into. So I'm proud of my service. I'm so proud of the Marine Corps. I'm proud of the people that I got to serve with. They're amazing human beings. If you're watching this and you're a service member, uh, I know that you might be struggling. Times might be tough. Reach out to your friends who served with you. Just ask them how their day went. Let them know how your day went. Celebrate your wins and your losses. Because yeah, we lost 3 service members, but every day we are losing hundreds to post-traumatic stress, to suicide, and we don't talk about that. Less than 1% of the military or the population serves in the military, but we make up over 25% of the suicides, and that's just it's mind-boggling. Um, that was a lot. I don't know. I probably helped answered some of your other questions
You
that you
did, but
might
I
have,
will
but
say this in closing, Stephen, for this segment. I was already proud to have sworn in
yeah,
Charleston. I'm even more
yeah,
proud now because you and I swore in the same place. I mean, oh my gosh, I got chills thinking about that after all you
yeah.
that little, I know the exact office in Charleston.
That's it. Yeah. It's an amazing experience. And you're like, "Hey, what's the most prided time of your life?" And I say my kids, but wow, becoming an American is it's such a special thing. Even if you didn't serve, just saying I do, and the things that you end up having to say, and people sacrificing so much to come here to live a better life. Um, it's just amazing. And so for the people that are doing it the right way, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.